Greetings, Black Nomads. Welcome back to the Black Nomad channel. I'm glad that you are still here with us, and I'd like to make sure that we continue on this, our foundational path, to start us off. Now, before we start that, I definitely want to lay out what is the whole duty of man, period. And let me also note that anytime I say man, I'm referring to man as a species. So that includes both male and female. Just like when they say a tiger, there's a male and a female, a lion, a male and a female, and any other creature that you've ever heard of in this life. That being said, let's dive into Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and verse 13. And it says, "Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man." That's plain and simple, right? So we're making sure that we continue in that fear of God and making sure that we keep his commandments here as a black nomad. Now, we've gotten we've gotten the commandments out of the way in the first video. So now what we're going to do is continue with what is known as the feast days of the Lord, not of man, not of me, not of anybody, but God himself. That being said, I want to dive right into Leviticus chapter 23, and I'm going to start us off at verse 1. And it says, "And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them concerning the feast of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations, even these are my feasts." Meaning these are God's feast, right? These are not the holidays that we know of. And again, no disrespect to anybody who keeps the holidays. It's just these are the feasts and the holy days that the Lord has laid forth for us. This actually is also the path of which man is going to go on, which we can break down in a later video. For now, we're just going to keep it foundational and we're going to keep it basic. If you have any questions, you can also put them down in the comments and I'll address them as I see them and I get to them. So, verse 3 says, 6 days shall work be done, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of rest. That there is the Sabbath day. It's laid out again. It was stated once before in Exodus 20, where the 10 Commandments lie, and it's stated here again in Leviticus chapter 23, where our feast days lie. "And holy convocation, ye shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings." So, even though we're taken from our land, it doesn't matter. This is where we dwell now. No matter where you're here in the United States or in any other country in this world, these are the feasts for any dwelling place. Verse 4, "These are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons. In the 14th day of the first month at even is the Lord's Passover." So there's the first one, right? It's the Passover. This is where we take the bread and the wine that you've seen at communion. There's only one time that we, as black nomads following the King James Version, keep. And it's in the 14th day of the first month, which we'll break down either after this video or later down the line. Verse 6, "And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread unto the Lord. 7 days ye must eat unleavened bread." So, feast of unleavened bread. That's the bread that has no leaven in it, whether it be yeast, baking soda, anything that is added to the wheat to cause it to rise, right? Or the dough, I should say. Verse 7, "In the first day ye shall have an holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein." So this is the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. The 15th day, not to be confused with the 14th day, which is the day of Passover. This is the day after, the first day of unleavened bread. It is known as it is known as an holy convocation, which again, It's stated, and it's a day that we shall do no servile work, meaning no work that you do for money, right? Or even for fun. You know, there are certain things that you'll do around the house, so on and so forth. That's understandable. But if you know it's going to be something that's going to help you gain, whether it be money, something of that nature, any kind of currency, that's not work that can be done on this day. Verse 8. But ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord 7 days. And the seventh day is an holy convocation. You shall do no servile work therein. So there it is again. The seventh day of that feast week is also another day where you're supposed to not do any servile work, right? It's a high holy day. Now, if you notice, it said before, ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord 7 days. What we'll get into further, but I'll break down and just state plainly. The sacrificial law is the law that was taken off the table, was fulfilled, right? Once Jesus died for us and was again resurrected, that fulfilled any kind of sacrifice that needed to be done. So, with that being said, it says, but ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord 7 days. That offering is now Jesus, right? So praying in his name, worshiping in his name, walking in his name, doing all that he does is an offering to God, right? An offering made by fire unto the Lord, because he died serving the Lord. Verse 9 says, and the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, when ye be come into the land which I give unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then ye shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest. And he shall weigh the sheaf before the Lord to be accepted for you. On the morrow after the Sabbath, the priest shall wave it. So if you see here, this is the Feast of Unleavened Bread being satisfied, right? And then what it's stating there in the end of verse 9 is saying on the morrow after the Sabbath, right? The Sabbath being that seventh day of the feast week, it says, on the morrow after the Sabbath, the priest shall wave it. This is a brief synopsis of an 8th-day celebration. This is also a representation of what Jesus showed us whenever he died and was resurrected. He was resurrected and was walking before the Father, waving himself to be accepted on the morrow after the Sabbath. Verse 11, and he shall wave the sheaf before the Lord to be accepted for you. On the morrow after the Sabbath, the priest shall wave it. And ye shall offer that day, when ye wave the sheaf, an he lamb without blemish of the first year for a burnt offering unto the Lord. Verse 13, and the meat offering thereof shall be 2/10 deals of fine flour mingled with oil, an offering made by fire unto the Lord for a sweet savor. And the drink offering thereof shall be of wine, the 4th part of an hin. So I went ahead and read that, even though the sacrificial law was fulfilled. And what I'll do further, and also to keep this video more brief, is we'll skip over any of the actual sacrifices being done. Not to say that it isn't important. It's quite important because there's a representation being shown, right? It's a sign of what was to come has already happened and is now fulfilled, right? So verse 14 says, and ye shall eat neither bread, nor parched corn, nor green ears, until the selfsame day that ye have brought an offering unto your God. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. There it is again, all of our dwellings, okay? Verse 15, and ye shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath, the day that Jesus waved himself before the Lord to be accepted, that same 8th day, from the day that ye brought the sheaf of the wave offering, 7 Sabbaths shall be complete. Now, I want you guys to kind of pay attention here because this is also important, right? Now, I know I kept calling the Feast of Unleavened Bread that feast week, but this, I don't want to get confused with that same concept, right? There is the Feast of Unleavened Bread, followed by that day where the sheaf is to be waved before the Lord, And then follows the Feast of Weeks, which I'm about to get into, right? Verse 15 again, and ye shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath, from the day that ye brought the sheaf of the wave offering, 7 Sabbaths shall be complete. Verse 16, even unto the morrow after the 7th Sabbath shall ye number 50 days, right? So 50 days, meaning the 49 prior from the 7 Sabbaths that were counted, right, being 7 weeks, and then that last day being the 8th day after those 7 weeks. So there it is again. That 8th is very important because, again, this lays out the plan of God. Now, I'm not going to dive completely into it because this is also a brand new knowledge. This is brand new knowledge for me. And it is amazing how the Lord began to open this up to me. Verse 17. Ye shall bring out of your habitation 2 wave loaves of 2/10 deals. So again, we're going to skip down and we're going to start this again at verse 19. Actually, skip that too. We're going to skip down to verse 20. You can read this at your own, of course. This is Leviticus chapter 23. I just wanted to skip around a bit because I don't want this video to be too long. Verse 20. And the priest shall wave them with the bread of the first fruits for a wave offering before the Lord with the 2 lambs. They shall be holy to the Lord for the priest. Right? So there it is again. That wave offering before the Lord on the day after that 7th Sabbath. Right? The 8th day. I also want to note that, actually, I believe it's going to come up here. So verse 21. And ye shall proclaim on the selfsame day that it may be an holy convocation unto you. Ye shall do no servile work therein. It shall be a statute forever in all your dwellings throughout your generations. Meaning, we're another generation, so we got to keep this feast. I wanted to skip back up because there's a very important thing that was a part of the offering that the sacrifices that we skipped over. And it's in verse, where is it? It was in verse 17, right? I'm going to read this real quick. It says, ye shall bring out of your habitations 2 wave loaves of 2/10 deals. They shall be of fine flour. They shall be baken with leaven, right? That's very important, and we can break that down in another video, right? The first, in the Feast of Unleavened Bread, there was unleavened bread. It's even in the name. But here, throughout the Feast of Weeks, as it's called, it's offered with leaven, right? So that is another representation that we'll get into later. That being said, we're going to continue on. Verse 22. And when you reap the harvest of your land, thou shalt not make clean riddance of the corners of thy field when thou reapest. Neither shalt thou gather any gleaning of thy harvest. Thou shalt leave them unto the poor and to the stranger. I am the Lord your God. This is dealing with the offering that we give unto God, right? Anything that God gives unto us, we will need to gather the whole thing. Just gather what we need. Anything that's left over can be left for those who are without understanding, who don't follow the word of God, right? The poor and the stranger. Okay, verse 23. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, in the 1st day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of trumpets and holy convocation. Therein lies our next feast day, right? The name is right there. It's the memorial of blowing of trumpets. And as you guys already know, if you've read through Revelations, there is going to be a time where trumpets are going to sound. This is that representation, right? Let's see. Verse 25, ye shall do no servile work therein, but ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. Verse 26, and the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, also on the 10th day of the 7th month, there shall be a day of atonement. This one is quite important, right? And as we read through, you'll see how important it is to God. Also, it should be important to us. It shall be an holy convocation unto you, and ye shall afflict your souls and offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. There it is again. I stated it before in the Feast of Weeks, also in the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Here it is again in the Memorial of Blowing of Trumpets. Verse 28, and you shall do no work in that same day. So note here that in verse 28, it says no work, not no servile work. This one says to do no work, right? This is supposed to be an absolute day of rest. Because if you think about it, right, to afflict your soul, to celebrate the Day of Atonement means you're not going to eat anything. You're also not going to drink anything, which we can break down in later videos. Verse 28, and you shall do no work in that same day, for it is a day of atonement, to make an atonement for you before the Lord your God. For whatsoever soul it be that shall not be afflicted in that same day, he should be cut off from among his people. And whatsoever soul it be that doeth any work in that same day, the same soul will I destroy from among his people. Very important. Verse 31, ye shall do no manner of work. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. It shall be unto you a Sabbath of rest, and ye shall afflict your souls in the 9th day of the month at even. From even unto even shall ye celebrate your Sabbath. That right there is a brief breakdown, which is further laid out in the book of Genesis, of which when the Lord starts the day, right? Don't start the day at midnight, because how can you tell without a clock or without a watch when 11:59 p.m. is compared to 12 a.m., right? According to Genesis, the Lord starts the day as soon as the sun goes down, which is why he stated in this verse, in the 9th day of the month at even, from even unto even shall ye celebrate your Sabbath. Because remember, he said in that verse before that this feast will be on the 10th day of the 7th month. Verse 33, and the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, the 15th day of this 7th month shall be the Feast of Tabernacles. So here we are on the last feast, right? The 15th day of this 7th month shall be the Feast of Tabernacles for 7 days unto the Lord. Let's pay attention again. Here comes those 7 days, which means what does it follow? You guessed it. Verse 35, on the first day shall be an holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein. 7 days ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. On the 8th day shall be an holy convocation unto you, and ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. It is a solemn assembly, and ye shall do no servile work therein. So there goes that 8th day again, right? This is for the last time that he states that 8th day. That's 3 times, right? So as you go back and as you read through the feast days, you'll see there are 7 days, or 7 of any span of time, whether it be days or weeks, which is the second one, and then days again here, followed by an 8th day. Verse 37, these are the feasts of the Lord, not our feast, not man's feast. It is the feasts of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations, to offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. There it is again, that offering of Jesus' name. A burnt offering and a meat offering, a sacrifice and drink offerings, everything upon his day. Beside the Sabbaths of the Lord, and beside your gifts, and beside all your vows, and beside all your freewill offerings, which ye give unto the Lord. Verse 39. Also in the 15th day of the 7th month, when ye have gathered in the fruit of the land, ye shall keep a feast unto the Lord 7 days, right? On the first day shall be a Sabbath, and on the 8th day shall be a Sabbath. And ye shall take you on the first day the boughs of goodly trees, branches of palm trees, and the boughs of thick trees, and willows of the brook, and ye shall rejoice before the Lord your God 7 days. Now, there was confusion at a time for me whenever I had read the scripture, because I thought to myself, how could I go gather these things, right? And then as I began to continue, or as I read through and continue to read through, it made itself clear to me that this is what is to be done as we return to the land, if that is his will for us, right? Verse 41, and you shall keep it a feast unto the Lord 7 days in the year. It shall be a statute forever in your generations. You shall celebrate it in the 7th month. You shall dwell in booths 7 days. All that are Israelites born shall dwell in booths, that your generations may know that I made the children of Israel to dwell in booths when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. So there it is. That's the conclusion. All right? Those are the feasts of the Lord. Another foundational chapter for me. So I wanted to also bring it forth for you guys to be able to eat from, because this is that wonderful spiritual food right here. All right? So I hope you guys have a wonderful one, and we'll see you guys again soon.